Okay, hi there, everybody. Welcome to another English class here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the English teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be having a reading class. We're going to be reading about dogs and what they can understand when we're talking to them. So if you have a reservation for this class, you can, of course, use it now. If you don't have a reservation, that's okay. You can just join the class when you see the Join Class button. All you have to do is click on the Join Class button, and that opens up a new Google Plus Hangouts window for you on your computer. And then you'll show up here down below where Raphael just came in, and you will be able to participate in the class with us. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Raphael. How are you doing?
Hi, Lisa. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm good. All right. And Fernando, welcome. Hi, Fernando.
Hi, Lisa.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Andre, how are you doing?
Hi Lisa, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Andre, I saw a picture of Moscow on my Facebook page the other day with snow. Was that a recent picture? I don't know. Has it been snowing there?
Yes, it was snowing, but now it's not so. The snow is not so. There is not so many snow. So much snow.
Okay, it's been melting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's now it's today it was +2.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Some snow has melted.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm always curious about the weather around the world, what's happening. It's very interesting.
And what is the weather in your area?
Well, we did get some snow last week, and that was really exciting and fun for everybody, but it melted pretty quickly, so now I'm looking out the window. It's mostly cloudy, and it's kind of cold. It's probably around 0 degrees Celsius. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There are still, just about until yesterday maybe, some places still had some snow, like tops of roofs, and some parts of the streets were icy. Places that don't get much sun, like we have big trees that block the sun. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, welcome everybody. Hi, Anatoly. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. Hey, Anatoly, do you continue to ride your bike even in the winter, or is it too dangerous?
No, unfortunately, no.
I was wondering. Some people get like snow tires or something, but it's pretty tricky, I think. You slide around. Okay, Anna, how are you doing, Anna? Oh, Anna, I saw that you're...
Hello.
Oh, there you go. Okay, good.
Hello. Hi. How are you, Lisa?
I'm doing well, thanks. Welcome. And Train, you're back. Okay, guys, welcome. So what I have for you guys for this hour, in the last hour we were reading an article about being charismatic and how you can become more charismatic if you want to be a charismatic leader. This is a completely different article. This is about dogs and how dogs understand what we say. So I got it from NPR.org website, where I go sometimes to get articles. And I like to tell people, we'll see how it goes. We might actually have time to listen to the story. I thought it might be good if we read first, go over the vocabulary, so you guys have a sense of what it's about and what the story is. And then if we have time, it's a little bit less than 4 minutes. I thought it might be fun to actually see if we can listen to the story and see how you guys do in terms of just listening to the story. Okay, so we're going to read along, and we're going to do it from this document here, and we'll take turns. It's not a very long article, so we'll probably just each have a little bit to read, and then we'll listen, and then hopefully I think we'll have time also to talk about it, because probably you guys, I know some of you have dogs, so it's always interesting. Pet owners usually have pretty good relationships with their pets, and dogs especially are usually very well, compared to cats, dogs are much more interested in humans, I think, and interacting with humans. Would you say that's true, Raphael? I know you have some dogs, right?
Yes, I have two.
Yeah. Are they very like excited to see you when you come home and that kind of thing?
Yes, mainly when I get home after work,
Uh-huh.
after a long day out, and they start jumping over me. It's a whole party.
A party, yeah.
Yeah,
Daddy's home.
they lick me. They lick me my clothes, and it's very dirty.
Yes, I understand. Okay, all right. Okay, Trang, I hear you. It's late. It's getting late in Vietnam. All right, so let's just get started. Let me just say hi to Araceli. Hi, Araceli. Welcome. Good to see
Hello, Lisa.
you. Did you have a good week?
Yes, quite tired, but it's okay.
It's the weekend. You can relax now.
Yes,
Yes.
we have 3 days
Oh,
off because, yes, Monday here in Spain is a holiday, so we have a long weekend.
that's nice. What is the holiday?
Well, I think it's some kind of religious festivity. I don't know, it's the Inmaculada Concepción, maybe, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
The 8th
Catholic
of
religion.
December. Yes, it's a Catholic, but nobody celebrates it like a Catholic. It's just a
Still
few
holding
days off,
on. You still take the holiday though. That's good.
of course.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so let's get started. How dogs understand what we say. Scientists and anyone who lives with a canine know that dogs pay close attention to the emotion in our voices. They listen for whether our tone is friendly or mean, how the pitch goes up or down, and even the rhythms in our speech. But what about the meaning of the words we say? Sure, a few studies have reported on super smart dogs that know hundreds of words. Chaser, a border collie in South Carolina, even learned 1,022 nouns and commands to go with them. Wow, it's impressive. Okay, Anna, why don't we start with you? You can read that whole part that I just read.
How dogs understand what we say. Scientists and anyone who lives with a canine know that dogs pay close attention to the emotion in our voices. They listen for whether our tone is friendly or mean, how the pitch goes up or down, and even the rhythms in our speech. But what about the meaning of the words we say? Sure, a few studies have reported on super smart dogs that know hundreds of words. Chaser, a border collie in South Carolina, even learned 1,022 nouns and commands to go with them.
Okay. So canine just refers to dogs. So that's another way we say dogs. It's the species name, canines. All right, so let's see. We know, so everybody who lives with dogs, canines, knows that dogs pay close attention to. So to pay close attention to means they are listening to us. And what they're listening for is our emotion, like how we're feeling, what kind of a mood are we in. And I just wanted to point out this structure here, whether blank blank is blank or blank. So whether or, so it's when you're comparing two things. So whether our tone, what our voice sounds like, is friendly or mean. So do we sound like, hey buddy, how's it going? Or we're like, oh, get out of here, so it's how you're talking to them with the tone of your voice gives them the information about how you're feeling. The pitch is also the sound of your voice. If it goes up, if I'm talking higher or I'm going low. And also the rhythm. So how fast we're speaking, and are we speaking consistently, or are we speeding up and slowing down? They listen to those kinds of things. So scientists know that. I guess dog owners know that as well. It affects the dog. But what do we know about if they understand the meaning of the words? Do they understand when we say something like, let's go for a walk? You know, do they really know what we're talking about? That kind of idea. That's the meaning. I always just like to point out, if you don't know something like this and you want to know it, when you're reading in English, you might not want to know every single word. It's not always necessary just to get the idea of the story. But if you want to, the easiest way is just to put it into Google and do an image search. So if you want to know what a border collie is, just look it up. And this is the type of dog they're talking about. So this type of dog, this breed of dog is called a border collie. And there's one of them named Chaser who learned over 1,000 nouns and the commands to go with them. So, you know, fetch is a command, go, bring, you know, things like that. Like bring the dog, bring the cat, bring the toy duck or something like that. So, all right, but otherwise there's little evidence that dogs differentiate between speech with meaningful words and sounds that contain only inflections, says neurobiologist Attila Andix at the MTA ELTE Comparative Ethology Research Group in Budapest. We know quite a bit about how much dogs get, about how we say things, Andix says, but we know quite little about how much dogs get, about what we say to them. That's about to change. Okay, let's see. Oh, Ali, you joined us, and Alex joined us. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, hi. So, Anatoly, why don't we go ahead and go to you next?
But otherwise, there is little evidence that dogs differentiate between speech with meaningful words and sounds that contain only inflections, says neurobiologist Attila Andix at the MTA ELTA Comparative Ethology Research Group in Budapest. We know quite a bit about how much dogs get, about how we say things, Andix says, but we know quite little about how much dogs get about what we say to them. That's about to change.
Okay, I wanted just to point out the use of the word otherwise. So when it's used when you're also comparing things, or you know, talking about one thing and then you're talking about something else. So there is, you know, we do have information about this one dog, you know, that is a super smart dog, but otherwise, like besides that, that's kind of like an exception. So we say, but otherwise, like in other news, in the rest of the situation is more like this. We don't have very much evidence or proof that dogs can actually differentiate, which means if you can differentiate between, we use the preposition here, between two different things or 3 or 4 or more different things, you can tell the difference, or you can say, oh, this is this means this and that means that. So we don't know whether or not dogs can really do that. So can they tell the difference, or can they differentiate between meaningful words like let's go to the park, you know, and sounds. So we're differentiating between two different things. Meaningful words, something that actually means something, like, you know, do you want this chicken or something, and just a sound like, you know, can they really tell the difference between it? And the inflections are like if you said the same thing, want to go for a walk, and the dog gets all excited, but you could say abba-dooba-da-da, you know, it's nothing, means nothing, but you said it in the same inflection, going up and down. So do they know what you're saying is the idea. And so that's what this researcher is talking about here, neurobiologist. So neuro referring to the brain, neuroscience, and the biology of your brain and your nervous system. All right, so we know quite a bit about. So it just means we know a lot. You know, if you know quite a bit about something, you know a lot about it. And here, this is how dogs get, how much dogs get. Here, this means how much dogs understand. To get something, like if somebody's talking to you and you say, I don't really get it, it means I don't really understand what you're trying to tell me. I don't get it. So that's the same thing here. So we know a lot about what they get about how we say things, like if we say things in a friendly way or a mean way, but we're not sure if they understand what we're actually saying to them. All right, so that's the new research that's happening. Psychologists reported Wednesday in the journal Current Biology that dogs do pay attention to the meanings of words, and they process that information in a different part of the brain from where they process emotional cues in speech. To figure that out, graduate student Victoria Ratcliffe at the University of Sussex in England set up a clever experiment. She brought 250 dogs into the lab, and then for each one, Ratcliffe put a speaker on either side of the dog's head. Scientists, they have all this fun. Andre.
Okay, psychologists reported Wednesday in the journal Current Biology that dogs do pay attention to the meanings of the words, and they process that information in a different part of the brain from where they process emotional cues in speech. To figure that out, graduate student Victoria Ratcliffe at the University of Sussex in England set up a clever experiment. She brought 250 dogs into the lab, and then for each one, Ratcliffe put a speaker on either side of the dog's head.
Good. Okay, so psychologists. So they reported in the journal. That just means that's where it got published. So they wrote an article about their research, and it got published or reported in the journal. And this is the name of the journal. All right, so they're talking about the fact that dogs do pay attention. So they do listen for and try to understand the meaning of the words that we're using. And, you know, obviously in this class, it's interesting because your dogs are listening to your language. They're not hearing English, so even they might understand different languages differently. But anyways, it shows that they process information. So when we talk about processing information, that's like the idea of how your computer processes information. That's what the brain is doing. It's taking in that information and then working with it, and they're doing it in different parts of the brain from where they're processing the other thing, which is the emotional cue. So whether or not, you know, you said it with a friendly tone or a mean tone, or, you know, did you point your finger and, you know, tell them to get over there or to get down, or, you know, something like that. That's an emotional cue. All right, so the graduate student, that's what graduate students do oftentimes. They do research projects, and they're trying to figure this out. So they're trying to understand, and so they set up. Here's some, you know, these are phrasal verbs here: to figure out, to set up. To set up means they created, you know, they generated or they came up with a clever experiment. They came up with the idea to do something clever, which means interesting, kind of a smart experiment, smart thing to do. And so what I want to point out brought here, just because some people, for past tense. So sometimes it's confusing to bring, you know, where did you brought, you took, you know, those verbs. So she brought, so she was bringing these dogs from wherever they were, and she brought them into, using the preposition, into the lab. So the laboratory where she is going to perform the study. So she brought them, or you could say the dogs came into the lab, and she put speakers on either side of their head. So you can imagine these dogs sitting there with these speakers. Then she played the command to come out of both speakers at the same time. At first, the command sounded normal. It had both meaningful words and emotional cues in it. Then Ratcliffe started to manipulate the speech in the command. In some instances, she removed all of the inflections in the speaker's voice. In other instances, she kept the inflections in the speaker's voice but removed the words, or replaced the words with gibberish. Gibberish. Okay, Araceli.
Where do I start?
Then she played the...
Okay.
Yeah, then she played the command.
Then she played the command to come out of both speakers at the same time. At first, the command sounded normal. It had both meaningful words and emotional cues in it. Then Radcliffe started to manipulate the speech in the command. In some instances, he removed all of the inflections in the speaker's voice. In other instances, he kept the inflections in the speaker's voice but removed the words, or replaced the word with gibberish.
Okay. All right. So the command to come is very, popular with dogs. You want them to come wherever you are, so you say come, or come Fifi, or whatever your dog's name is. And so they were coming. That was coming out of both speakers. So they were listening to it at the same time, and it sounded normal. So they did it first just the normal way. So it has meaningful words and the emotional cues. But then she started to manipulate. So when you manipulate something, you change it. So she was changing the speech. So, for example, she removed, so she took away, that would be the phrasal verb, she took away or removed all of the inflections. Okay, the inflections are the up and down. Come Fifi, or come Bobo, or whatever your dog's name is. That's the inflection. So now it would just sound like come Bobo, something like that. And then another time she removed the words, so she just took out the words. So instead of saying something like come Bobo, maybe it's like do Bobo, da da da, or something like that. Or replace them with just gibberish. Gibberish is nonsense words. It's like what I was just doing right there, blah 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 blah. So that's what they're doing. That sounds kind of fun. For each command, Radcliffe recorded which way the dogs turned their heads, toward the left speaker or toward the right speaker. Even though both speakers were playing the same sounds, a clear pattern emerged. When the dogs heard commands that still had meaningful words in them, about 80% of the animals turned to the right. When they heard commands with just emotional cues in them, most dogs turned to the left. Okay, Fernando.
Okay.
All that.
For each command, Radcliffe recorded which way the dogs turned their heads, toward the left speaker or toward the right speaker. Even though both speakers were playing the same sounds, a clear pattern emerged. When the dogs heard commands that still had meaningful words in them, about 80% for the animal turned to the right. When they heard commands with just emotional cues in them, most dogs turned to the left.
Okay, good. All right, so this is their findings of the research. So this is what they saw happen. This is what they observed happening in the lab. So even though they were both of the speakers were playing the same sounds, their pattern emerged. So when you're observing something over time, then something emerges. So it comes to life, or you see, like when you're analyzing data, for example. Pretty soon you say, oh, look, this is happening. That's emerging. It's coming to light, kind of thing. So then they explain what it was. So they were turning their head to the right about 80% of the time, or 80% of the animals, when they were listening to meaningful words. But if it was just a command with no meaningful words, just the emotional cues, they would turn to the left. So that's a pattern that they found. Otherwise, if there was no pattern, it would be totally random, like they couldn't tell what anybody was doing. The dogs did all different things. But they did find a pattern. That result sounds simple, but Andix, who wasn't involved in the study, says the findings show something surprising, that dogs are able to differentiate between meaningful and meaningless sound sequences. The study also suggests that a dog's brain breaks up speech into two parts, the emotional cues and the meaning of the words. Then it processes these two components on opposite sides of the brain. Emotional cues on the right, meaning of words on the left. Yes, it's opposite to the way the dogs turned. That's interesting. Okay, Rafael.
That result sounds simple, but Andix, who wasn't involved in the study, says the findings show something surprising, that dogs are able to differentiate between meaningful and meaningless sound sequences. The study also suggests that a dog's brain breaks up speech into two parts: the emotional cues and the meaning of the words. Then it processes these two components on opposite sides of the brain: emotional cues on the right, meaning of words on the left. Yes, it's the opposite to the way the dogs turn.
Yes. All right. So it shows something surprising. So that often happens when you have a research project. You get the result shows something that you didn't think was going to happen. So it's a surprise. And that is basically that it seems like the dogs are able to, or that they can, differentiate between meaningful, so words that do have meaning, and meaningless, words that don't have any meaning, or sounds, I guess, sound sequences that have words that mean something or sounds that don't mean anything. A sequence is just one thing after the other. So like a sentence or a command, that would be a sequence. And they were making sequences with words that mean things and with just sounds that have no meaning, like ma-ba-doo-ba da 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 da, you know, something like that. Okay, the study also suggests they break up. So when you break something up into parts, that's how you use that phrasal verb there, to break something up or break up something into parts. It could be 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, anything. But what they do is they take the speech and they separate it into these different parts, and they are processed in different parts of the brain. That's the main finding there. So they're not processed in the same area of the brain. That's kind of the research that's important to people like neurobiologists. That's a bit similar to how we humans process speech. We also break up speech into several parts, such as the meaning of the words, clues about the speaker, and emotional cues. But with humans, it's trickier, Andix says. We believe the human brain processes various aspects of human speech in different stages and in many different parts of the brain. Okay, so a little bit different with humans. Alex, why don't you read that?
That's a bit similar to how we humans process speech. We also break up speech into several parts, such as the meaning of the words, clues about the speaker, and emotional cues. But with humans, it's trickier, Andix says. We believe the human brain processes various aspects of human speech in different stages and in many different parts of the brain.
So it's a bit, whenever you say a bit, you're talking about a little bit, a small portion or something. So it's kind of similar, it's sort of similar, it's a bit similar. So kind of like, similar is like when it's like something. So it's similar to how we process speech. We also do this breaking up of the speech into different parts, which we break it up into processing the meaning. What does this word mean? You know, we do that when we're learning a second language, of course, trying to figure out what the heck, you know, this word means. We also process clues, you know, about the speaker. What is that person saying? Why are they saying that? What, you know, who is this person who's talking? This is the clue that helps us to understand speech. And also cues. So a cue, an emotional cue would be something that tells us how the speaker is feeling. So it could be facial expressions or body language, but also just with speech, like if you're just talking to somebody on the phone, sometimes you can understand just by the tone of their voice, you know, are they sad, are they feeling depressed, or are they excited and happy about something? Those are the cues that you get. So the tone of voice, how loud they're talking, you know, that kind of thing. It's trickier. So describing something as trickier means it's more difficult, it's more complicated, because the human brain processes it, the speech, aspects of the speech, the emotion, the meaning, all of those aspects of human speech in different stages. So not all at the same time, and also in different parts of our brain as well. So all this stuff is happening inside of our brain. Still though, Andix says the new study offers one way that people may be able to communicate better with their best friends. Pick the ear you use carefully. Tell all the emotional things to the dog in his left ear, Andix says. For commands that you want a dog to get clearly and precisely, tell them in the right ear. Okay, oh, we lost Ali. Okay, Anna, you get to read again then.
Still, though Andix says the new study offers one way that people may be able to communicate better with their best friends. Pick the ear you use carefully. Tell of the emotional things to the dog in his left ear. Andix says, for commands that you want a dog to get clearly and precisely, tell them in right ear.
Yes. Okay, let's see if people actually do that. All right. So the new study offers. So when we say that, use this word here, it offers. It kind of like it's telling you something, and so you could use this information if you wanted to. It's offering you. It's giving you this information. You may or may not want to use it. Best friends. We have the saying. Maybe you have it in your language too. Man's dog is man's best friend. That's the idea. So pick the ear you use carefully. So choose which ear you're going to talk to carefully. And basically all the emotional things go in the left ear. And for things like commands, like come or go or heel or whatever your commands are, that you want the dog to get or to understand clearly and precisely, so without any kind of questions, without being any confusion, you want to tell them in the right ear. Now, does anybody have any questions about the language used in the article? Anything you weren't sure about, you want me to explain? No? Okay, what do you guys think about this? Is it realistic, Raphael? I know some other people have some dogs too, but Raphael, do you think it's practical that people would do this? Talk to one ear or the other?
I don't know. I'll try.
Oh, good. You're going to try it.
I'll try it with my dog, and I'll give the answer afterwards.
Okay, you can be the researcher. Yeah. What about anybody else who has a dog? Would it be realistic to try to see if this works? You know, telling them the emotional things, how you're feeling, if you're loving your dog. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, in one ear or the other. Alex, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think it's too much work. Maybe if you like the dogs and you have a scientific mind,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah. So what do you think, Alex, when you talk to your dog, do you get a sense of whether or not your dog understands the meaning of what you're saying, or just responding to like your emotions or what? What's your sense of it?
Well, I have the feeling that my dog doesn't understand anything of what I say.
Why do you think that?
Maybe the emotions he understands the emotions, the way you tell him the things, but the meaning of the words, I doubt it.
You got it.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to know, huh?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. But your dog understands commands probably. Like, do you ever like throw a ball or fetch, like go fetch or bring me the ball or bring me the paper or sit, roll over, those are kind of commands.
My dog I think is not well educated.
Okay.
Because when he was a very little dog, my mother, I think, didn't educate him in the proper way. So he doesn't obey anything.
Yeah.
Any command.
Okay. Yeah, here in the United States, of course, not everybody trains their dog, but if people want to, they send them to what they call dog obedience training or school or class or something. So, and you usually do that when they're puppies still, when they're younger. But you can try it when they're older. But that's where that saying comes from, and it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So sometimes it can be more difficult to train them as they get older. That's the idea. But yeah, it looks something like this, where you have a bunch of puppies and they're trying to teach them like how to be on a leash, how to stop or heel or sit, roll over, different things like that.
Yes.
But I think you have to train them. They don't just know it automatically what you're talking about.
Yeah, and since they are very young.
Yeah, from when they're pretty young. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Who else has dogs here? Anna, did you have a dog?
No, my sister had a dog when we lived in our parents' house.
Did she train the dog to do things?
Not so much.
No.
But we have lucky because she was a good dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. And the food. As this research is related to the food, because the trainer, the dog understand with the food too. I don't know.
Yeah. Like when you give something like a treat or something? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know what they were saying, and if they were giving a treat, because that's true. Like when you're giving, like here the picture, oftentimes when you give a dog a command, then you give a treat. So, do they understand what they want? Like it's hard to know what are they really thinking. But they seem to know what to do, like if they sit, then they do get a treat, for example. I don't know. It's hard to know. Let's see. Anatoly, what about you? Do you have any dogs? Have you ever worked with dogs?
No, I have a cat.
A cat. Anatoly said too. Yes. Cats, I don't think you can train cats. Does your cat ever listen to you, Anatoly? Or does your cat just do whatever he or she wants?
Yes, it is much difference from the command which could follow dogs. But as I noticed, cats also understand pitch and inflection of the words. I think they also understand meaning of the word if we have a word like their names or for different language. It could be different. For Russian language, we call cats kiss kiss. They could understand these simple words.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Cats are definitely different than dogs. You like cats, Alex? Do you have a cat, Alex?
Yes, I like. Well, I had a cat. I had a cat when I was 18 years old, and yeah, I like more cats than dogs. Yes, I don't know why, but the cats, the cat transmits to me peace when they are comfortable and they are relaxed. I think they are able to transmit peace
Yeah.
and quietness. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
dogs, I think, well, there are many kinds of dogs, but I haven't seen too much dogs that are able to transmit these kind of things.
Yeah. I just posted this funny thing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. Um, there's a thing called a day in a dog's life and versus a day in a cat's life. So a dog's diary is like very simple, food, car ride, walk, food, get rubbed, all these very simple things. And the cat in the cat diary, it says, "My captors continue to taunt me with bizarre little dangling things." So it's like the dog is a very simple-minded creature, and the cat is a very smart and cunning, and the way they write in their diary is very dramatic. If you want to read it, it's in the Verbling chat. It's pretty funny. Okay, so who are we on? Andre? Wait. What did you just say? I got confused now. I think we're with Araceli.
No,
Yes.
No. Go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say I had a dog, but
Yeah.
I think it is interesting research, but how could they make this statement based on how they turned their head? I mean, right or left?
Exactly.
I don't think that dogs process information independently in one part of or another. I think they because I think it would be weird to close one ear of the dog and to another one. I think it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's
too,
interesting.
too early to say that they process information based on the meaning or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't believe somehow.
It's hard to, well, it's interesting, what the researchers think about what they see. So a pattern emerges, and then they make the meaning about it, like this must be happening in the brain or something. So it might also be a little bit of a guess on the researcher's part, like trying to make it understandable to them. And they do understand that the human brain processes speech in different areas. So that's kind of like a clue. Maybe the dog's brain is similar in the way it works. But yeah, it's a little tricky to understand where they're, how they figure this out. But I'm not a scientist, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, of course, brains are maybe dogs' brains is similar to, but it's much more. How to say? It's not so difficult as humans' brains.
Not so complicated, maybe not so.
But some Russian scientist Pavlov, I guess he made an experiment that he rang a bell, and the dog has a saliva in and it's kind of reflexes. And I guess all the dog's training is based on these reflexes. When, for example, you try to make a dog to do something, and you then make a positive reflex, like feeding it some I don't know, what do they give the dogs?
Yeah, like a treat
Some
or
meat,
something. A dog.
like treats.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's based on the reflexes, maybe, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, well, this is an article here that talks about this dog chaser who he learned all of these different nouns. So he had a researcher, but over years and years. I think we actually talked about this in one class maybe last year sometime or something. We watched the video, and the dog, he'll tell them, he'll go get the elephant, go get the Santa Claus, and he can actually go and pick the right toy, And so that's pretty amazing. But it was years and years of working with the dog and something like that. Well, 3 years it took her, I guess. 3 years she learned and remembered. It was a she. Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. You can find it on YouTube too. I think they have the video where you see her going and getting all of the things when the guy's telling her. So that's the idea of that she learned. She learned. She understood actually the word. She wasn't just going and picking up random objects. She was getting the object that he was telling her to get. So I'll give you guys that link. It's an interesting video.
It is interesting that even parrots can be trained.
Yeah,
I saw this summer some like performance guy who showed something with parrots. It was incredible. What you can do with them.
Yeah, like in the circuses and stuff, they train animals to do crazy stuff. Araceli, what do you think about this? You're a cat person.
Yes, well, I've never had a dog, so I know little about them.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, but it seems curious, funny for me to say that scientists think that if a dog turns his head right or wrong, it means something. And I have heard a similar experience. For example, when neurologists try to investigate, for example, babies, and they say a newborn baby, knows I don't know how many words of their native language because he or she heard them in the womb, and it says yes because when she's sucking her, how do you call that? Yes,
thumb?
The baby's
Thumb or something?
yeah, no, this thing you put in.
Oh,
They made like an experiment with a. Yes, with a pacifier, yes, and I don't know, connected to something, and
okay, like
the baby was listening to words, and maybe if they were, for example, in English, the baby was his mother was an English native speaker. They said he recognizes the word because the way he suckles the pacifier, and then he is exposed to Japanese, for example, and he suckles in a different way. And I'm saying, are you sure about that? I mean, it doesn't look too objective.
Yeah.
And with many assumptions, they for example, if you read some articles and they say how they conducted their experiments, sometimes I'm skeptical because you understand what you want to understand. I mean,
right. Yeah. So this looks like the picture of the experiment. They get this poor dog is listening to things with one ear speaker. But yeah, I mean, people are definitely, scientists are interested in dogs and other animals too. And do they think? And do they have feelings? And do they, all this type of thing? But it's hard. Definitely, it seems like they're guessing. How can you really know what that means, right? Like if they turn their head left or right or something. Yeah. So it's definitely smaller. I mean, dog's brain right there is kind of small. So.
But size is not everything. I think
There's still
small animals can be very smart. I don't know. I mean, maybe the relation between the mass of the animal and the mass of the brain can be more important, but we don't know really how the brain works. I think maybe they can use some experiments measuring the electrical activity on the brain, and maybe this is more reliable. But it's anyway, it's a guess. I think.
Yeah, I think Andre's funny too. Like, maybe they were just getting bored. Like, what am I doing? What are these people doing to me? Give me a dog treat or something. I'll do whatever you want. Yeah. Fernando, you don't have any dogs?
Lisa, I had a dog almost 2009 maybe.
Yeah.
That dog was interesting because a dog doesn't eat all bread. The dog always ate a bread the same day. I don't know.
Mm.
It's rarely, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm very smart. The dog waiting for me
Uh-huh.
at noon. I come back at my house at 11 or 12 at night,
Yeah.
and the dog waiting every time.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing that you were there. Yeah, some people claim that they can talk like telepathically with animals, including dogs and others, and some people um, believe that they know that you're coming home and they get excited and they're waiting for you even before when you're not even close. But yeah, Cleopatra wrote something in the chat that's interesting because obviously we know that dogs have a really good sense of smell. So when dogs are tracking down like criminals or something, a lot of times they have a really good sense of smell, using their noses, especially certain dogs. So certain dogs are used like this for tracking down criminals, maybe, also for hunting, things like that. So it's interesting to understand, like, how do they know what to go look for, even when you tell them. I guess you give them a scent or something, something that smells like the person they're looking for or something, and then they go looking for it. But I have a friend. This is an anecdote, so a story that's just like a life story. I have a friend who says that his dog was the one who got him to know that he should get a checkup, and it turned out that he had heart problems. And it seemed like the dog knew it because he was going to go take the dog for a walk or something like that, and the dog kept jumping up on his chest and like saying, like he was telling him, no, like we're not going to go for a walk. And for some reason this, then eventually he got checked, and it turned out that he had a heart problem, and he had to have a surgery, and it seemed to him like his dog was trying to tell him that he needed help or that he was having some kind of trouble or something. So I don't know if that was his perception or that his understanding of the dog. So I don't know. I guess it depends on how close you feel to your dog. Like, Alex, do you feel very close to your dog? Is it your dog or your mom's dog, or do you have any kind of special connection with the dog?
Well, a little bit, but I remember that I had better connection with my cat.
Really?
Yes, but I have affection
Uh-huh.
for my dog, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. What how did your cat like come and curl up with you or something, or how would you describe, like, what was your interaction like with the cat? Why did you have more affection towards the cat?
Mm, it's very hard to explain. I don't know. Um, I don't know how to explain.
When you're
It's a sensation
uh-huh.
of connection when I looked at him, at his uh, to his eyes, he's looking. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm laughing because this picture here, this is kind of like the dog and the cats. So the dog is really excited, like, hey man, give me a high five, all right. And the cat's like, go fuck yourself. Like, get out of here. That's funny. Araceli, you like cats better, but do you experience cats like this? Like, dogs are really excited to see you, but cats, they don't seem to care. But maybe your cat is excited.
I don't know. I think cats can be very, very nice too, but it's different because, of course, dogs are like they are expecting a lot of attention, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems that for cats it's okay. Maybe they like to sleep with you or quiet things like
Yeah.
that. But they don't enjoy too much or jumping or running or but it depends on the cats because I remember with the young ones maybe they behave more like dogs and I remember there I had a my mother had these little cats and they were like 3 months old and I was going for a walk with these two kittens and they were following me but I was not calling them. They just followed me
Mm.
for maybe for a mile, and I was walking, and the cats would come with me all the time. And then, and when I returned home, they went with me. So they were very strange. This is really a strange behavior for a cat. But
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
they were enjoying my company. So I had a good relation with this kitten, and people were really surprised that you know, cats don't enjoy working with people. So, but there are cats for everything, I think. And maybe when they get older, they don't care. They are quite lazy and say, okay, I'll sleep.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean that they don't enjoy with people. But I think they enjoy in a different way, more reserved, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Andre, I don't remember the movie that you're talking about. Oh, Hachiko, I guess. But here's,
Yeah, I think Hachiko, yeah.
I just heard this story the other day. It's new. There's in Russia. There's the dog that kept waiting for the owner, but the owner had died in the hospital, and she was still just waiting and waiting. So yeah, dogs are known to be very, very loyal. That's
Mhm.
the word we use for them. And yeah, I guess the Hachiko. This is maybe the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, dogs can, they can rescue people. They can be very helpful. And, it makes you think maybe they understand what's happening. Maybe they don't understand speech so much, but they seem to know when they need to act. Like dogs can save children that are drowning and things like that. So and it's definitely interesting the relationship that dogs have with people. Yeah. Okay, guys, anybody else want to make any more comments before we finish off the class? Any dog stories? Anything? Well, you can try the experiment if you want. Maybe Raphael will tell us if he tries to talk in either ear and see what happens. Yeah. Okay, guys, have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for coming to
Thank you.
class.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lisa. Bye.
Take care,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.